and 2 and 1, and we're live. Welcome everyone to another episode of Livestream Stories. And today I'm super excited to be bringing on a special guest who's talking all the way from Australia. Her name is Linda Morrison, and we are going to talk about the different ways that doing live video can transform not only your business, but your whole life. And we're talking about transformation. So welcome to the show, Linda. Let's see, I need to get back to this screen. Let's see, how do we do this? This is so fun to do. And you're on. Say hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Good way to start my morning.
Okay, I'm playing around with this gizmo here. Just give me a second because I want to get a split screen. And let's see, let's do this and this. Nope, that's not it. That's so funny. I've done this before. Okay, I can make myself go big and you go small and you go big and me go small. But how do I get both of us on here? Let's see, maybe if I do that and maybe if I do that and then that. No. Good grief. There's got to be a way to do this. Huh, that's so funny. You'd think these would be more intuitive, but they're not.
I'm glad you're in charge.
Okay, so I'm really big. I can see there are 5 people here. If you're here, say hello and tell us where you're calling in from. And if you're doing any live video, tell us, say, I'm doing live streams. And if you've had a transformation, we want to hear about it because that's what we're talking about today, is how can any kind of transformation come from doing this particular activity? And so let's see, now I'm going to do this and bring this here. Huh, that's so interesting. It's so, well, I'm trying to get a split screen, but it's just not going to happen. So I'm not going to worry about it. We are going to pretend that this is what was planned. So Linda, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to have you talk a little bit about the beginning of your journey. You know, when you were starting doing anything to do with video, like what made you do it?
Thank you so much for asking that question. I'm very passionate about transformation, extremely passionate about body and life and business transformation. I work a lot with women. I do understand and understood very, very, very early that the quickest way to the audience, so about 9 or 10 years ago when I launched online, the quickest way to an audience that didn't know about me was to actually launch and go live and speak to as many people as possible in with my iPhone, basically. And that's definitely how I started. I understood that part of the motivation, I will say, is that I was never confident about writing. So I was not a confident writer, but I knew I was a good communicator. So I was motivated by literally the fact that I could get in front of audiences that didn't know about me very quickly using the medium of video, and for love of God, who has given me the gift of being able to string words together that mostly make sense most of the time to be able to help motivate people to get from A to B. So I knew that very, very quickly. So every day I went live, and all I did, Brad, was think about my most wonderful, perfect client. So though I might have had hundreds on my live stream, I just thought about one person, talking to one person.
Right. Cool. Well, all right. So let's just move it just a little bit further. When you were starting out, and this was, first of all, tell me, how long ago was this? Like when you were starting your very first business, what did it look like? What exactly? I mean, you had the ageless body formula. Like, was that the earliest thing?
That was the earliest thing in the online space, and she wasn't named that yet. She was. I was literally. So this was 9 years ago, and I couldn't use a computer. I didn't know how to successfully get into even my internet banking on a regular basis. I was pretty bad actually at technology. So I had professional skills in and around body and health transformation, and I had done for 20 years. So I realized that as I was turning 40, speaking to women who were over 40 who literally wanted to transform their health and their well-being was a really, really good idea, and a good market segment. So I became Linda Morrison, the body transformation specialist for women over 40, which is quite the mouthful. And I just had one online program that I had developed, and that program was actually born out of me writing my first book, which was Live, Love, Exercise, How to Lose Weight Over 40, something like that. It's probably not exactly what it's called, but that was my first book. So when I started writing that, I realized that I had a lot to say. I realized that I needed to lock down my intellectual property in a much more formalized way, and that's what I started doing. So the quickest way was to actually go live every day and to start speaking to that audience, because I knew she was there. I just didn't know where she was, and I knew how to speak to her. I just had to start speaking. I had to literally get the words out, and going live was one beautiful way of doing that. We're getting some really gorgeous messages here too.
I know, it's cool.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. I'm going to show this one just because all the way from Munich, Germany. And he says, our walking tour company was 2 inches before closing their business due to COVID, but with the speed of light, we switched to doing virtual live stream tours from our home offices. That's so cool. And demand keeps growing. And it says, in the future, ... let's see. In the future, we'll be a hybrid company, real and virtual tours. That's so great.
Beautiful.
That's
cool.
really cool to see. All right, so I know that. Okay, so you've started this company, and then you started live streaming, and it grew. Like something happened, like literally within the first 18 months. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Unbelievable. So I had to learn to be a breadwinner overnight. I was separating, divorcing, and I needed to learn to earn money to support my children and to support myself. I knew even then it wasn't a good idea to start a physical business. It would have been financial suicide for me at that time, and it would have been too much pressure. So there was that hanging over me. And all I did was cared for clients, virtual and in real life, that I knew were watching me in a way that I had just cared for them the previous 20 years. So it did actually take a real shift in gear. And I was very, I suppose, completely real when I went live. So I didn't have a formula back then, but my intent was to connect and help. So as I weaved that through, and I was, super real, and I literally worked on a truth level. So, one of my biggest statements really is, in all honesty, are you happy where you're at? So we talked about that almost every day. So in all honesty, are you happy where you're at? If you're not, there's possibly a reason that you're listening to me today, and I'm going to unpack this problem that I see comes up for many people. So I would always have some kind of how-to So I knew that intuitively, and some sort of call to action that was extremely simple.
That's great. That's so cool. So, okay. So we're talking about honesty. And, this is one of the things that live streaming helps make happen. Possibly just simply because you can't not be yourself. It's very, very difficult, first of all, to be perfect and super polished without making any mistakes ever, as evidenced by me every time I go live, and including on this live stream. And people don't want that, right? I mean, like when you're, talking with, especially the women who you work with, like what do you think that they're actually looking for when you show up live?
What am I looking for?
No, what are they looking for?
Oh, answers to their problems, answers to their problems. And sometimes their problems are not well formulated. So quite often I find myself saying, if you were to ask a question, it might be this. So I am prompting, and I'm prompting a formulation of a question that they haven't quite formulated yet. And the reason I suppose I'm very good at that is that I literally have in the last 9 years spoken to about 13,000 people. I've done now about 13,000 live videos. But prior to that, from the moment I was 16, 17, I started teaching health, is that I started taking data in. I literally have been extremely interested in people, in wanting to know what makes them tick, so that I can help to take away their problems, pains, difficulties that they're having. So that's just in me, Brad. I don't know that that's that bit. It's always teachable. But I do get to work now with amazing people who are leading great people around the world. So I'm very thankful for being able to help them there.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I noticed some more people are coming on. So if you're just tuning in, my guest today is Linda Morrison, and she is calling in all the way from Melbourne, Australia. And we're talking about her progress, her journey in terms of the world of live streaming. And especially like in her business, she has been able to grow the business, first of all, as a fitness company, and now more recently, basically as a business coach for women entrepreneurs. And in the first year and a half, this company has been able to generate a 7-figure revenue stream. So this is significant. And Linda is in the business of transformation. She is helping women, first of all, transform themselves internally through her ageless body formula. But now she's actually working on the entrepreneurial side and their business coaching. Now, recently, Linda, you have, and I'll just say as an aside, Linda recently joined my group program, which has been all about how to turn your live video broadcasting into a series, like a video podcast series. And Linda, you've just recently launched your podcast, isn't that right? So tell us, like, what's just happened?
Yeah. So I've moved into a whole new medium, which is this audio live streaming, basically, and developing my podcast. So it's been a natural progression for me. It's something I've thought about for a long, long time, but it's been a natural progression. But because I've been so visual from the point of view of growing up in the fitness industry, it's it's a visual medium, visual kinesthetic medium where you're in front of people. Then video is a natural progression. It's now podcasting, so I have to think about people consuming that just from that audio level, which I'm really, really enjoying. So it's slowed down my communication quite rapidly. I haven't been able to rely on being animated, apart from, that your voice really tells it all, I believe. But I've really, really enjoyed that. And what my editors are actually extremely happy with is that they don't need to edit me. So I literally can talk for 20 minutes without making too many mistakes. But that's because of the work that I've done over the years. So, there are some there are some, moments where I pause to think about what I next will say that will hopefully sound helpful and intelligent. But I'm really enjoying it. So it's Mind, Body, Joy, and it really is about taking that female entrepreneur to a space where absolutely nothing is born of lack, and it's really about looking after yourself. And if 2020 has taught us anything, and a lot, I think, across the world, is that we really need to lead with caring for ourselves, and so much creativity can be born of that. But it takes us a mindset shift, and then to really look after ourselves physically. So I'm really hybriding everything that I've ever done in terms of transforming thousands of bodies right through to businesses to bring it all together in a way that makes sense to me, the busy mother that happens to be over 40. So yeah, I think people are enjoying it so far.
Right, that's great. Well, yeah, I mean, you were telling me that you've already gotten some response in terms of people listening to the podcast and then signing up for your program, right?
Yeah. It's been incredible, because I am guilty of being a little bit of a workhorse, Brad, and I do find it interesting when things like, oh, this has landed in my lap, but it really is the culmination. So no effort is ever lost in this online space, and this whole medium of live video and turning up, this repurposing possibilities that you actually have, it's quite incredible. And Brad and I both agreed, imagine if we had videoed everything that we've done 30 years ago. In my chiropractic office that I owned, we used to turn up every single week to a health talk, whether there was one person or 10. And, imagine if we had that bank of video now, it'd be quite incredible.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the challenging parts of live video. And, for example, you just mentioned the busy mom thing. Now, you've been raising children during all this time. And so, can you share how, and you're talking about doing live video. So how does live video, and especially when your children were young, how did that go? How did that work? And how could you even do it?
Well, that's it. Well, I think we've always, being self-employed for so long, we've always had a home office. So my children were taught very, very early, unless someone's choking, don't come in. So if we could grab, sort of 30 minutes, we would. And they were really, from a very, very young age, actually taught that, work and home is sort of the same thing. It's a little bit like we've always had a home gym. So our lifestyle has always been one where the kids are clearly there, and if they do walk into shot or come into shot, then it's just part of our life. It's just part of what we are. And I really wish at times that they would come into shot a little bit more, because I might actually get some more likes. We can pimp them out a little bit more. They're kind of cute and clever in their own right, but they understand their own rights as well. They don't always want to be on mummy's videos. They think it's a bit weird, you know, you and dad go live all the time, and what's that about? So it's quite interesting watching them thinking that we're a bit old-fashioned going on Facebook, you know, because it's all about Instagram when you're a bit younger. So they've been, you know, they've been a delight, and they've been used to it. I must say. So the other thing is, if there's ever been a disaster of a live, and if I've gone on Facebook and there's been a disaster and it's been terrible, I just delete it, which is very unlike, you know, other types of mediums. You know, if you build a billboard and it's $600,000 and there's a mistake, it's really not much you can do about that. Whereas in this dynamic world of online, we literally can change it in a heartbeat, and that's been incredible as well. And that's what I say to clients: is so don't overthink it. If you hate it, don't have it up there. Then, you know, just take it down.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a big fear that people have that they're going to do something, especially when they're thinking about doing something live, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to go in front of the camera, I'm going to fall on my face, I'm going to look like a fool, and it's going to live on the internet forever. And that is a big thing that is keeping a lot of people from even trying out, you know, this particular medium. And it's not true. You know, there's, like, back to what we were talking about at the start. First of all, no one expects you to do this without making any errors. Live video is a medium by which you have permission to be normal and human. And if, of course, something really bad happens, like, I don't know, let's say the power goes off, like anything could happen, you know, so what? Like, it's okay. You just take that one and throw it out and try again tomorrow.
I have a really good story if you'd like to hear a story of a
Yeah, I want to hear a story.
All right. Okay.
That's the name of the show. It's Livestream Stories.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a really good story. And I went live, it was probably about 4 to 5 years ago, and it was it was the moment when I was starting to decide to you know, that I was going to start business coaching, because it was a natural progression, but also people were asking me to start to coach them in business because they were not getting the results that they wanted. So I went live and I was talking gently about business on this live stream, and a business coach from Australia hopped on live, and I could actually see, like we can see the questions and the comments coming through now, and I could see these derogatory comments coming through. It was something like, you're wearing inappropriate clothing for being a business coach, and what do you think you're talking about being in this space? And I had triggered this person. So I think what I was talking about, it triggered her because she had been a business coach for some time. And here I was coming into this space, and I was being very honest about it. I was saying, I'm coming into this space because I'm literally going to teach you what I have complete mastery over, and that is, you know, my ability to make money online and through my online programs. And she started personally attacking me. So it was like, I can see too much food, like you can't wear that thing on, you know, and I certainly wasn't naked, but it was like, it just kept on coming. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So I left the comments up there. I didn't say anything, and I got off the call a little bit rattled, if I'm to be honest. And I got off the call, and then I started getting personal messages along the same vein from this particular person. So I had to block them. I was being spammed, right? Trolled. I was being trolled in live time. And I just didn't think it was even a thing up until that point. I mean, I had comments on certain photos online and different things like that, but this was different. This was live time. So I therefore did a video the next day saying, what about your boobs? What about my boobs bothers you? And it's still on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's probably one of my most popular ones because of the title. So I think, But what I actually talked about then was body shaming women. And because it's just not on. So I therefore, because a body transformation obviously is something that I'm extremely passionate about and something I can speak with authority about. And so I then made it an opportunity. And I spoke about, so then I was trolled in a positive way as I went live on that one, when I actually said, what about my boobs bothers you? And everyone was saying, yeah, nothing at all. We love boobs. Boobs are great. And off we went on a whole different tangent. So we kind of cancelled out the extreme negative that was. But yeah, that's a little live story. So don't you worry, everybody. We've got your
Well, that's
back.
so interesting. Yeah, I'd like to explore this a little more, because I think that a lot of people, and particularly women, are really holding themselves back. Like they're really intimidated, not just on like being visible online, but being afraid of the experience that you just described, that kind of experience. So they come on and people are going to publicly shame them or publicly pillar them, in the public square. And this is a reason why so many people are not showing up. So I also want to acknowledge the people who are here. If you've had experience of being trolled, go ahead and say, I've been trolled. And that would be really interesting to hear, like how you handled it. And, this whole thing, like this, I feel like if somebody hasn't given you some kind of critique with something that you've done online, then you probably haven't been doing very much. Because like you need to show up, and people will say comments, people will say stuff about you, and people love to be sort of in the background and critiquing anything that's going on. And this is just part of the thing. So let's just sort of explore this a little more. But before we dive in there, I want to acknowledge that the people who are responsible for this live stream, which is this company Restream. And I just want to talk about what Restream is and how we use it. And it's another big part of how live streaming can transform your business and literally transform your online presence, because the main thing that Restream offers is that it allows you to do multiple casting, like to broadcast your stream, not just to Facebook. I mean, Linda's talking about how when she was starting, she was mainly live streaming onto Facebook. Well, now, because of Restream, you can now go live on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on YouTube and on Twitter, all of these different places simultaneously. In fact, there are 30 different platforms that Restream allows you to go live on. And we're doing that right now. So when I see over here in the comments, we've got Monica here from Facebook saying, it does take courage to show up live. Hey, Monica, great to see you here. And then up here on YouTube, we've got, and I cannot pronounce this name, but he's giving us good vibrations and so on. And so like people are tuning in from all these different places. And the thing that I love about this is that when you're going live with a tool like this, you're able to host a live event where your audience is hanging out. So if some of your audience is on Facebook, but then there's another bunch of people over on YouTube, you can host an event for both communities, for both neighborhoods, basically. And you can bring them all together, just like we're doing right now. So let's just, dive in just a little bit deeper on this thing of, tell me, like, I know that you work regularly with women, and now you're working with women entrepreneurs, and they're all being faced with this same thing of like, okay, so I know I need to step up my game. I know I need to step up and actually literally face the spotlight and show myself. Otherwise, no one will ever hear of my business. And particularly at this time when everything is being shut down and closed down, and we can't do networking, and we can't do conferences, and we can't go out and even hang out in a cafe, with our friends. This is a way, as a business person, that you can now be reaching people and reaching them at significant scale. So tell me, what do you think, Linda, are the primary reasons why, women are just like, oh no, I know that I need to, but I'm just not going to?
Yeah, so I think it's initially extremely difficult to see yourself and to listen to yourself. And I've found this with the podcast now as well, is that, oh, is that what I really sound like? So even without the visual, is that what I sound like? It's difficult to see and listen to that initially, because you don't perceive yourself as, we can't be objective about ourselves. We are subjective. But and having grown up in industries where perfectionism is a thing, and women are very self-judgmental, I literally had to put my ego on the shelf. So the ego doesn't get to come to the office, and if it did, I couldn't get the work done that I get done. I couldn't learn every day and take mastery over the next level. So I simply think about the client that I can help. And I did that right from the very, very, very beginning. I just said, I've got to go and help people. Because part of that was that I wanted to help myself. And I think that's really why people do go into coaching, and why they become extremely good at it, because they understand that there is someone needs to hear their message and be taken from A to B. It would be a simpler work life to sell T-shirts, to put up a link and sell T-shirts, but we don't do that. We transform. We help to find a way so that people can transform. So speaking to that on that real honest level is I believe, extremely attractive for people. They can feel it. And there's all this, there's different words about authenticity, and are you an authentic coach, and are you, real, and all those sorts of things. But I think if you are going to show up and you want to be in this business and really make it work and help people from A to B, then you just have to be that way. So we're not going to like how we look. We're not going to like how we sound sometimes. But we're not here to entertain ourselves, are we?
Right.
I think we are.
Yeah. I mean, my take on this is, I feel like when you are showing up live, the people who are watching you, all of you guys are watching us right now, your audience doesn't really care about what you look like. The only person who really cares the most about what you like is you. And your audience, what they care about are themselves. And are you going to do anything, like, can you help them? Or is what you're talking about actually helping them out? Is there something that you're doing that is helpful, useful, meaningful for them? And if you show up in a meaningful way and you're talking about things that really matter to the people who you are wanting to connect with, that's what's important. And what you look like is much, much less important. Now, we've got an interesting comment here from Tiffany, which segue right into this. She says, my most major issue I have is lighting. I keep having shadows on my face and it's ruining my shows, in my opinion. The other is lag, where my voice is ahead of my lips or behind. But I love live streaming. Okay, Tiffany, well, one of the simple solutions that I will say for you is you can, go live right in front of a window, like go position yourself. And this actually is what Linda is doing. If we take a look at Linda's stream here, right here, she is facing a window. This is natural light. This is not an artificial light. This is just an open window. And Tiffany, you can do that too. It's really, really simple. In terms of the lag issue, that is a technical thing. And that can also be fixed depending on how you have your microphone and your live streaming hookups put together. But that's a very simple thing to fix. And you can just reach out to me personally and we can have a virtual coffee chat and I can give you some suggestions on how to go ahead and cure your vocal lag. And I think what's interesting is that when you're showing up on live streaming, what you look like you know, as long as this is probably the most important thing. People get all hung up on like, what camera should I use? And that's not nearly as important as just keep yourself really well lit, like look bright. And the simplest way to do that is to, if you're indoors, get in front of a window. If you're outdoors, sit in the shade. And that's it. That solves the problem. Then you're always going to be looking pretty darn good under the light. And oh, I did forget one thing. I just want to go back to Restream people. And if you're interested in using this tool, you can sign up for free. Just use this link, restream.io/join/showup. And you can open up a free account, which will let you go to a couple of multicasts at the same time. And then if you decide to upgrade to their professional level by using this link, you will get a discount. So it's right there. And it's also down in the comments below this video. You can find this link and you just click on it. So thanks so much, Restream. This has been really awesome to have this opportunity to create this series for everybody. And coming back to, let's see, I do this. There we are. All right. So from here, I would like to ask you a little bit about when you are doing your lives and your business has become fairly successful. Talk a little bit about, this is the biggest question that a lot of people have, is like, okay, so I'm doing my live streams and some people are showing up and they're watching me. How do I monetize it? Like, how do I bring people over across the threshold so that they'll actually start to either work for me or buy my stuff? Like, how are you doing that? What is your method of making that happen?
So thank you for asking me this, because, you know, a good amount of our energy is spent in creation and helping setting ourselves up so that we can show evidence to people that may want to work with us that we are a viable and a great option. So stacking our you know, cards in that way is really, really important, both with live stream and the written word. But quite often it does actually take a conversation to have someone come into your space, in your world, and do your programs. So I'm very good at keeping that conversation going to the point where we actually get to a space of, now we are going to see if you're going to take action. Up until that point, we have enthusiastic voyeurs, which is absolutely fine, but I am quite obsessed about results. So at that point of sale, then I know I'm actually working with someone who's going to pay the attention, put in the energy, and then get the result. So that's that very much that trainer in me, going right back to the health, fitness, well-being, athletics. You know, that's where we get commitment and courage, and we increase their confidence, and we really, really get things going. We improve their capabilities. And that, to me, I get very excited about that. So I love the creative bit, and I must say that I didn't realize until I launched this online business that I was so creative. I thought I was good on the ground with the other stuff, getting results from people. Just losing my earphone here. So I get very excited about that sale and that conversation then at that point, because when you've got someone so qualified and educated in what you do, the sale becomes easy. So that process I have is very, very much along the lines of making friends. It's just about making friends. It's not awkward. It's an easy conversation for me. But I also do then very clearly ask for a sale. And I think a lot of people in business, especially women, get very awkward around that. And they needn't, because otherwise you will have an expensive hobby. And I'm here to actually make lucrative businesses for people. So that's why I get excited about this stuff.
Yeah. So, okay. So give me a couple of specifics. Like, okay, so I'm a person who's been watching your live streams and you're saying some cool stuff and you're helping me out on these live streams. And from the live stream, you're inviting me to schedule a call with you. Is that the next step?
Yeah, so to have a conversation, and quite often I need, and this year in particular, Brad, I've found that I've had to lead the lead a little bit clearer because people seem to be that little bit more distracted this year with uh, the state of the goings on of the world. So I will literally offer a time, and I'll work around. We are global. We've been global for 10 years, so I'll work out I'll say, what city are you in? So I can help them to find a time that works for them. Because quite often my clients, 2/3 overseas, so they find converting to Melbourne time, Australia, difficult. So I'll help them with that. And then I'll say, let's have a chat about this and see what we can unpack and help you with. And it's a very, it's quite casual in the way that I step towards this. And then, of course, in that particular call, I've got a format and a style that I use, and I teach that in my courses about what actually brings success in that sale. So the industry average of sales conversations is about 1 in 5. I'm finding I'm converting around 3 to 4 in 5 sales conversations. So whilst I'm not a sales trainer, I'm very good at this process, but I really acknowledge that it's the work I've done before. You know, the connected marketing, speaking directly as if you're having a conversation inside of this person's mind, till we actually make this sales conversation very, very simple and easy. And you will often feel, and my clients that are actually learning actually feel that they are repeating themselves, but that's what we do. That is what we do. And if you look at, you know, a brand like Anthony Robbins or, you know, Virgin or whatever, they literally are saying the same thing over and over again in 40 different ways. So we do the same as coaches. And I'll, you know, it's like parenting: brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. Like, is this new news? You know, after you brush your teeth, you go to bed. Is this new news to everybody? So it is very much like that. But you can understand, and everyone can understand, is that our clients don't have the knowledge and the confidence, and it doesn't roll off their tongue as it does us. So that's why we are, you know, the expert or leader in what we're teaching. And we've got the belief as well, because we've got the evidence that this stuff works, whereas they don't have any of that. So yeah, I love education. I love teaching, and it's just been these last couple of years I kind of call myself a teacher now. I used to be a coach and a mentor and a this. I just say I'm a teacher now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's really cool because, I mean, what you're describing and what I experienced myself is that because of live streaming, because of the fact that you're doing live and you're doing it regularly, people are getting to know you. They're literally learning who you are and what you're like, and learning to actually decide whether or not they like you or not, or whether they can consider working with you, so that by the time anyone has agreed to get on a phone conversation, they've already gotten over that threshold of, they feel like they already know you. They feel like you've become a very familiar face to them, and they feel much more comfortable with the prospect of doing anything, like any offer that you might make. They're going, yeah, fine, I trust you, so I'm totally fine with whatever you have for me. And that's, you know, like it's a very nice warming up procedure, that even though, like, you know, now we're forced to do things virtually at this moment in time, and yet we can still get people to a place where they really do feel like, oh yeah, I know this person. This is somebody who I'm getting to know.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's a privilege as well, which I unfortunately at times, you know, in the online space, I perceive it not to be acknowledged. It is a privilege to take people on a transformation, and hopefully I sit in gratitude of that, and I remember that each day in between, you know, the jobs and tasks that I need to do, the pressures that I put on myself to help people change. That It's not easy. It's not easy to change mindsets. Behavior change is not easy. Flexing your muscles on new businesses and new ways of life is not easy. But it's been thrust upon you anyway, like it or lump it this year. So let's make the most of it, you know. And that's really, I try to sit in that space as much as I can. Mm.
Right. So, okay, well, we're going to come to the end of our time together. And I just want to sort of prompt you at like looking forward, everybody's looking forward to next year. And people are going, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see 2020 in the rearview mirror for a whole variety of reasons. And so as you are thinking about your upcoming year, and the opportunities that you not only see for yourself, but for all these women who you intend to work with in the next, 12, 14 months. Like, what would you like to say to that audience by way of encouragement?
That it's absolutely possible to create a business that you love whilst looking after yourself and others and getting an incredible income. So you don't know you can do it until you do it. And I certainly, as I sat, when I first started this online business, I hadn't really done the markers and the measurements. I just had my head down. I was working really hard, and I sat in the kitchen with a pile of receipts to do my accounting. And I realized how successful I actually was. So I wasn't concentrating on the figures. I was concentrating on upskilling, transforming people, because I knew that if I got the results from the people would speak for me. You know, they would speak for the business. And I didn't realize I could do it until I did it. So it was extremely also important to lean into someone else's confidence. I did have a coach at that time. I did listen to them, and we did take in data and shifted things when they didn't work. So we literally assessed every week whether something's working or not. But we went in boots and all. So it is absolutely possible to create whatever you like out of this business. And it's quite incredible how many people around the world that you can actually help. And so don't think of yourself as just in your geographical location or your own country. We do have a global world where people need your gifts. So let's go have fun and make it happen.
Right, that's so great. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining today, Linda. This has been fantastic. And so if people want to follow up with you, what would you have them do?
They can find me on Facebook, Linda Morrison, or lindamorrison.com.au is my website. So it's a very simple website that you can make a time with me. It would be my pleasure to meet anyone around the world. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining. And just by way of wrapping up with everyone, I just want to remind you, next Thursday, this show happens every Thursday, and it's 3 p.m. Eastern Time here in Boston land on the East Coast of the United States. And next Thursday, I have another guest coming on. And if you are experiencing anything to do with virtual gatherings, virtual meetings, virtual coaching calls, virtual coffee chats, live streams like this, and you are feeling like, oh my gosh, this whole medium is getting really tired. All these meetings are really boring. My live streams lack luster, all of that. Well, my guest is going to talk about how you can create far more interactive and engaging live experiences, virtual live experiences. That is the destination of our show next week. So we can look forward to that. And thanks, you guys. I can still see that there are some people here. There's a dozen folks. So say goodbye. Go ahead and hit that heart and put your things in the comments. I still want to see who's here. And I also want to just say that my thanks to Restream. Restream.io/join/showup is where you can go and get on with this multicasting engine so that you too can be live streaming to multiple places at the same time. Right now, I'm going live on my profile page on Facebook, on my business page on Facebook, on my group page on Facebook, on my YouTube channel, on my LinkedIn channel, and on Twitter, all at the same time. And the cool thing about all of this is that all of this can be scheduled in advance. So you can schedule it in advance, and then you can tell all your friends, hey, join me over here, I'm having a party. And they will, like you guys have joined today. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining, and we will see you in the next live stream. So long.